Good morning and welcome to our devotions for today, Thursday. It is indeed good to be here with you again, and I trust that the time that we will spend together this morning as we continue on this general theme in Lent, that love may abound. Remember that this is all about love. This entire journey of ours is all about love because it's about God, and God is love. So there is that need for us from time to time to just remind ourselves that this is all about love. Even in the harsh times of life when there are challenges before us, we need to remind ourselves that, what? This is all about love. How can I find the loving thing within this context, within this experience? If we are able to do that and practice doing it, maybe we might be able to see the world from a far different place. So today, as we continue this journey, and we remember that we are called to allow love to abound, we want to now go into our quiet place where we can be with the divine. And we can just allow ourselves to prepare ourselves for this work, for this time together, because we know that this is an important time. And it is important for us to be able to come into this space and to, in some way, allow ourselves to be with the divine in all things. So we go into our sacred space today. We come into our hearts. We bring our attention to our breathing. We allow our hearts to be filled with gratitude and love. And today we want to especially bring love in. All those areas in our lives where we feel that love is lacking. Sometimes it is more our issue than the issue of others. And so one of the things that we need to be mindful of is the extent to which we are allowing love to pour forth from us. In other words, to what extent are we going with the flow of life? Because the flow of life is love itself. And there are times when we hold ourselves back from the flow of life because of some incident that might have happened at some point in time or another, and we're still carrying that memory, carrying the hurt, the pain, the discomfort, and so we hold ourselves back from some aspect of life. It may be being in the company of a particular person that we had a bad experience with. It may be not going to a particular place because, again, there was a particular incident. However it is, we realize that when we make those decisions, what we're doing is that we are holding ourselves away from life. We are in some way curtailing our own freedom. And this journey of ours is a journey of freedom, because love is freedom, freedom is love. And so we've got to be mindful of what we may very well be doing to ourselves, thinking that we may be protecting ourselves from unnecessary pain and discomfort, but not realizing that we are causing ourselves pain and discomfort by holding ourselves back from the natural flow of life. Those instances where friends say, well, let's go and do this, we're going to have a good time, and you're saying, nah, I don't want to do that because X is going to be there or Y is going to be there, and the others are there with you, trying to encourage you to join, go with the flow, join in the energy, but you hold yourself back. You withhold that love, and at the end of the day, the damage that is done to you, not to anyone else. So you've got to be able to give some serious thought to the ways in which we hold ourselves back from love, and what that holding of ourselves back from love ultimately does in our lives. How does it impact on us? how does it in some way manifest itself down the road. So this morning as we are together, as we instinctively reach out to each other and hold hands and just feel the connectedness, feel the energy just passing through us, in us, from us. It's part of the flow. We're all connected. There is no separation between us. Even when we seek to physically separate, we're not really separated. Our energies interchange constantly. We can give ourselves a moment to consider ourselves as just a mass of energy interacting with our environment, exchanging photons, electrons, just exchanging energy with all that is around us, and even with each other across this virtual space. And allow love to be our focus. Let's set our attention on love. And we attend to it. We create that feeling within us of love. What does love feel like? You know, the idea of separation is for the purpose of us experiencing love. Because if there was no separation, illusory or otherwise, we would not be able to experience that which we are, because there would be no target. So this journey into duality, into this realm of time and space, is for the purpose of having that sense of a separation in order that we may experience that which we are, experience the love. So when I say let's create that sense, that feeling of love, we can, because we know what it is to love other. We've had experience of loving other and having other love us. And so we can create in our minds, in our hearts, that sense of love, that emotion. And we can allow that emotion of love to just fill the entire space in which we find ourselves. And know that it doesn't stay in the space where we are, but it continues to move and expand and fills the entire universe with our love. My God, we thank you. My God, we praise you. My God, we turn to you. Guide us every step of the way. Help us to know you, and help us to know ourselves in you. Help us to rediscover that love. Help us to allow ourselves to flow with life, to flow with love. Guide us, O gracious one. Guide us away from the ways in which we withhold ourselves in this world, the ways in which we deny ourselves of the wonderful flow of energy which comes from you moment by moment. Help us to recognize that when we withhold ourselves, that we are cutting ourselves off from you, not from the other, but from you. Because it is you who continues to pour out your grace into our world and into our lives. Help us to awaken then and understand the importance of being open to the flow of life and being willing to pay attention to all that is around us and within us. Hear this prayer, gracious one. Hear it from your heavenly throne and respond to us. Amen. We turn our attention to Mark's Gospel, where we pick up the story of the feeding of the 5,000, and we encounter Jesus in this unique way. When it grew late, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now very late. Send them away so that they may go into the surrounding country and villages and buy something for themselves to eat." But Jesus answered them, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "Are we going to go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give it to them to eat?" And he said to them, "How many loaves have you? Go and see." When they had found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then he ordered them to get all the people to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and of 50s. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish among them all. And all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces and of the fish. Those who had eaten the loaves numbered 5,000 men. This is the word of the Lord.
With
that famous story that we hear today of the feeding of the 5,000, where the disciples are concerned for the people, and Jesus tells them that they should feed them. They should give them something to eat. And they're amazed because they are trying to figure out how much it would cost to feed these people. And they work out a figure as to how much it might cost them. This is very, in a sense, reminiscent, similar to how we engage with God. When we are faced with situations in our lives, we tend to do the obvious thing, which is to try to work out what it would cost us, what would be involved in order for us to find the necessary solution. And oftentimes we realize that, we don't have the wherewithal to be able to bring about the solution. And sometimes we even find ourselves having sleepless nights, trying to find a solution. The disciples were not having sleepless nights, but they were wrestling with this particular situation, this problem. This was no small problem. This was a major problem. For Jesus to tell them to feed the people, this was significant. But there are a couple of things in this passage that we need to walk away with. And the first is, always listen for the Master in our lives. Always turn to the Master and listen to the Master. And in listening to the Master, your challenge. Your challenge. Because the Master will tell you something similar to, you feed him. You feed him. You take care of this. And you will go off and try to wrestle with this. And the Master will say, what do you have? What do you have among you? And there is the key to this entire experience of facing the challenges of our lives. What do you have? What can you do within your ability? What can you offer? The disciples checked and they found that they had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Jesus said, make the people sit down. And when the people sat down, Jesus fed them with the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. This seems like an impossible thing. And there are many explanations as to how it could or might have occurred. But the message is a very pertinent message. We have to use what's available to us. And while what's available to us may fall short of what's needed, that's not the issue. The issue is to have the will to use what is there. And when we use what's there and we give that all that we have, it is then that the ministering angels of God provide the remainder. The disciples gathered what they had and they brought it to Jesus. And the ministering presence of God did the rest. In every situation in your life, try this. As you find yourself presented with a challenge, see what you have. See what you can offer to the challenge. Don't matter how minuscule it may seem in relation to the real situation. Just see what you have. And be prepared to offer what you have towards the resolution of the challenge. You see, remember, our call is to the process. Ours is not to be focused on the outcome, but our task is to focus on the process. To commit ourselves to the process. God has a larger view, a grander view of what's possible. And hence we only need to commit what we are able to commit and leave everything else to Almighty God. What do you have? Bring what you have and give it to God. And God will supply all that you may lack. This is a reality for us in this world. To know that God supplies what we lack.